All right, we're live.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining this the StepZen Community update. So starting last month, we're going to do this every month. So this is the second one in which we will practically update you about new features we have in StepZen, and also we'll try and highlight some of the community projects because we see more and more developers building stuff with StepZen that we want to share, and also showing more integrations. Because if we do one thing in StepZen, it is making sure you can create a GraphQL API out of everything. And we'll be adding more and more integrations over the coming period. So we'll also be using these community updates to share those integrations with you. And of course, you can also hear about them more often by either signing up for our Discord, following us on Twitter, or by just subscribing to YouTube. Because every Tuesday at 5 p.m. European time, which is probably around 9 in the morning if you're from maybe even 8 in the morning if you're in Pacific time. We'll be uploading a new video showing how to build something with StepZen. So make sure to subscribe, go to our Discord, or follow us on Twitter, and you'll be getting all the updates that we'll be showing you today, but at a faster cadence. So I think, Lucia, you wanted to start, right, by showing
Yeah.
StepZen import curl.
Yeah. So let's see, which window do I want to show first? We have a couple of updates to import curl. You may be familiar with it's one command that you can run in order to it basically aims StepZen at a REST endpoint and then creates a GraphQL API that you can, again, deploy with StepZen CLI based on that. One update that we have is that you can now add headers and data to your import curl command. So as you can see here, I've got some pretty typical headers and data to send. And so if I run this command, I'll accept the auto-generated endpoint name. And if I run StepZen start, it will deploy the schema there. And we can view it at this localhost window, which I'll open up and then share.
So that's pretty cool. But besides the data flag, we have more flags, right, for post.
That's right. I'll show those in the next in my next bit. Let's see. But here you can see that we've got our API available to query in this graphical format. So the other flag that we can pass is path parameters. So you can specify which parameters you want to in your path, that in the endpoint that you provide, that you want to be the parameters in your GraphQL API. Hey, Anthony, good to see you. So let me run this command. Oh, I was trying to run it on the screen. That's not going to work. I will bypass beta for now. So let's take a look at the actual schema. Inside, you can see that we've got the path parameters already set here. So it auto-generates your query based on the path parameters that you set, which is pretty cool. The next thing in our community update, I love the support from Anthony there. The next thing in our community update list to share is some updates to the account page. So
Yeah, because it's actually a question we got quite often from users. I really like building stuff with StepZen, but have no idea where I'm at for my pricing plan. Because an example, we have a pricing plan that allows you to do 300,000 requests per month, free of charge. And often people enjoy it so much that they are afraid to get somewhere close to that point. So that's why, well, let's see, I will show you.
Yeah. So we heard your requests, and you can see how many queries you ran today. You can see how close you are to reaching the limit with your monthly queries. So you have a generous lower limit there of 300K, and then how many deployed endpoints that you have, and then you can see the names of the endpoints that you've deployed here. My list is fairly long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same for branches. I often have in some repositories with this whole list of branches that you never use anymore.
Yeah. It's kind of similar. I should probably clean up my account. Actually, that's part of why this is handy to see it in a UI. You can kind of see what you've got going on in all one spot. So yeah, that's what we've got for updates on the endpoints.
Yeah, we actually will be adding more things to this page later on as well. But as always, if you have any requests for the account page or for any other page you see in your StepZen dashboard, be sure to reach out to us either on our Discord or on Twitter or wherever you like. You can also email us, of course, if you're using email. I often prefer to stay in touch with products I use through Discord or Twitter because you just have a shorter feedback loop. But if you have suggestions for the endpoints page or the account page, please let us know because we're always happy to learn from you and happy to hear what people would like to add to StepZen.
Yeah, where it's all about the response to what our users require.
Yes, definitely. So on to the second part of this community update. It's actually showing you some integrations that we've built and also some community projects. Take over the screen share. I'll be sharing my second screen. So I'm not sure if you are familiar with StepZen GraphQL Studio. It's a product we released at the end of last year, I believe. And in StepZen Studio, you can find all sorts of APIs that we curated for you. So we turned them into GraphQL APIs, just what you could do with the StepZen import curl command that Lucia just demonstrated. So you could basically do this with basically all the APIs that you have. And specifically for our users, we've curated some of them. And something we've added is making it possible to create your own combinations. And we try to do this together with the community. So Joey, who's been writing some guest blogs for our website, has created a specific combination of Spotify with the Google Knowledge Graph. And he also created a blog about it. I believe it was already last month, but still worth sharing. If you are into music and you want to know a bit more about what's going on behind the music, have a look at this one. But more recently, we had someone called Austin, and he's building a Web3 application with StepZen, which is quite interesting, of course. You hear more and more people talking about Web3 and crypto and all the space around it. All our Web3 and crypto not necessarily the same things. But with this community API, you can actually start building your own Web3 API using StepZen. So if you're not familiar with StepZen GraphQL Studio, there's a way to either use real-time data or real data, for which you need to configure your own keys. So imagine you have an Etherscan account, you would need to have an API. For Infura and Morales, it's the same. But you can also use mock data. So let's say you're trying to build something with Web3 without having the API keys just yet, just to try it out. Make sure to use some mock data. And then using StepZen Studio, you can explore these APIs. And you can see which variables they return, also with some mock data. And this mock data sometimes makes a lot of sense, sometimes not so much. At least I don't hope this is a real address, or maybe it is. You can try investigating what people are doing on the blockchain. You can these APIs, and besides mock data, actually build something yourself.
Right. Maybe Anthony could tell us if that's a real blockchain address. But that's the thing with mock data too, is it's always a question of what you want to, like, how to hit the uncanny valley where it becomes clear to people that it is mock data, but it also, the mock data makes sense. Like it's a similar type to what you would expect. Anthony says, plug it into Etherscan to find out.
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to know more about Web3 and building some with StepZen, GraphQL, and Web3, head over to this blog post from our co-worker Sam. And this will also have besides the APIs we just introspected through GraphQL Studio, we also have a Web3 starter application. So if you are one that likes to build based on existing code, you can just head over to this GitHub repository. It's still quite fresh. We released it to be public just yesterday. And in here, you can find everything to get yourself set up. So it will have the endpoint to StepZen GraphQL Studio, which is a production-ready API you can query using mock data. And then, of course, you can also insert your own API keys. And there's some information here to find out where to place them. So you basically place them within your front-end projects, and then we'll make sure they will be forwarded to the underlying APIs of Etherscan, Morales, and Infura. And yeah, just try it out. Let us know if you have any questions. We have our Discord for this. So we have a channel called Help, in which people often ask questions about things they want to know about StepZen. And this is one of the community projects I wanted to highlight this week. And besides that, we also released new integrations. And one of the integrations we released this week was one with HarperDB. So HarperDB, if you're not familiar, it is a database that's performant, and it supports both NoSQL and SQL. So it's a bit hard for people to know if it's like a SQL or NoSQL database. The nice thing here, it supports both. So you can query your tables using SQL, and then most of the search functions. So if you want to find something throughout all your different tables, they have NoSQL for that. So it's a combination of best of both worlds, actually. Because I often find building a search engine with SQL is quite hard. With NoSQL, it's better, but then it's harder to query efficiently using just NoSQL. So they do both. And in here, you can also find an example. So feel free to read through the article. It's also on our blog. And the same as for the Web3 example, we also have some integration examples on YouTube and GitHub in this scenario as well. So if you would go to the examples repo, it's stepzen-dev/examples. You can find all the different integrations we have, including this new HarperDB example. And it also has all the information to set up. So basically, it tells you to set up a HarperDB account, bring you to all the steps, and then finally shows you how you can populate it with data and then query that data using GraphQL and StepZen.
That's pretty cool. I have a question. Why is it easier to build a search engine with NoSQL rather than SQL?
Because SQL isn't really made to search multiple fields at once. So it's really good with relations. So if you know where your data is at, if you know how to index it, if you know which dots to combine, then SQL is really convenient. NoSQL is really great if you just want to scroll to an entire row without really care about which fields to search for or maybe combine multiple fields.
That makes sense.
So yeah, you often see people that have a SQL database having issues with search. So they maybe implement a different search API. Algolia is pretty popular with people. Sometimes they use something like Elasticsearch to index their SQL database and then use the Elasticsearch API to do the search. But with a HarperDB, you can actually do both from one API because everything they do is exposed through a REST API. So you no longer have to connect with the database using your terminal or using some sort of ORM. Instead, you can just call a REST API and do all the things from there.
So it addresses the pain point maybe of a front-end developer who has to use a database in their application. You can use HarperDB.
Yeah, definitely. So that's the cool part. And because they have the REST API, the import curl command you showed earlier is something you can actually use to import HarperDB endpoints. So if you have a HarperDB instance, it's really easy to build your entire GraphQL schema by sending this request using StepZen import curl.
Yeah, that's a lot of layers. That means we've got a GraphQL API over a REST API over a database in a way. But then you could also bring in, if you wanted to, other data sources using StepZen so that they could all have one common mode of communication in the GraphQL layer, whether they be REST APIs, GraphQL, or even just relational databases too.
Yeah, definitely. So that's also a cool thing. You don't need to have a database that's good at both, because probably it's really hard to switch databases when you're already in production somewhere.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And then the last thing I wanted to show you was, well, if you have questions for us during the community update, you can also send in these questions via Discord. And we got some questions from people that wanted to implement StepZen, an example for Plan Scale or for other databases that are exposed through TLS or SSL. And the Planet Scale integration is coming up pretty soon, actually. So next time we do this community update, you can expect a blog post and an official integration example as well, which I believe actually you can already find the Planet Scale example inside our examples repo. So make sure to check it out. But to answer the question some people had, how you can connect with a database that requires you to do TLS or SSL, we've updated our docs to include this extra string here. So if you have your connection DSN, make sure to append TLS is true at the end. So thanks for asking this question. I saw multiple people running into this, and we were able to to help them out pretty quickly. So if you are trying to build something with a MySQL database or a Postgres database, you run into issues, have a look at our doc. We try to update them regularly, or just send us a message on Discord or Twitter, and then we should be pretty quick helping you. And I believe that was the biggest question we had for this week. So please send in your questions for next month as well. Do you have any final words, Lucia, for this community update?
No, I feel like we're ready to sign off. I'm excited to see the questions we'll have for May.
Okay. Well, then, thanks everyone. And as I said before, stay connected with us on either Discord or Twitter, and then we'll hope to see you again next month.
Yeah, see you guys around. Bye.
Bye-bye.